Tel Akko has been excavated on and off since the 70s. During that time, a vast amount of material has been collected. This material must be sorted, labeled, analyzed, and recorded, and then it must be stored safely so that we can come along when time allows and find what we need for publication. In 2022, our opportunity to study the stored material arrived. COVID was behind us, but it was still impractical to bring students and experts to Akko for another season of excavation. And so here we are, in the storage area given to us by the University of Haifa in order to carry out a study season. Professor Anne Killebrew is one of the co-directors of Total Archaeology at Tel Akko. She is being interviewed by Joanne Guarnieri Hagemeyer. This is what she has to say about the study season.
Okay. So here we are in 2022, and why are we having a study season?
This is really a golden opportunity, a wonderful time for us to work together and to really begin to process the massive amounts of material we have. Now, during the period of COVID, I worked quite hard with our team members, and we worked through the stratigraphy, we worked through the drawings, but we had no access to the materials. And that really makes a big difference too. When you're working on the pottery, you're working on the artifacts, you're working on the iron slag, to really have access to the materials. So I said, okay, we're in an excellent position to make a great deal of progress with our publication. Of course, the whole goal of us excavating is to uncover the past and to publish it, because if we don't publish it, we've really done nothing. And so we have a team of 11 people who are here this summer, really just working on publication. It's been a wonderful experience.
So in the years that we weren't here at Akko, you actually did quite a bit of work on the database. Is that so?
That's right. We did work on going through all of our own excavations from 2010 through 2019. Really had an opportunity to work on the stratigraphy. When you're excavating each summer, you come out of the season, we have to write a very long report for the Israel Antiquities Authority each year. It takes us 5 to 6 months to put together that report.
Wow.
It's a 1,000-page report, and then we send it off, and then you have to start planning for the excavation. So we really never had an opportunity to sit and think and work through all the material. So from beginning to end, we sat working through the material. We also had the opportunity to make progress on the previous excavations directed by Moshe Dotan. We are digging in one of his areas with the goal of publishing his information, his excavation, and we had the opportunity to enter all of his data into a database. A lot of it had to be translated from Hebrew into English. Lots of problems, as you've seen, with the documentation, and it really set us up to be in a perfect position to work on the publication of both our material and link it into his material and work on the publication of his material as well.
There's quite a story arc, actually, for all the excavations that have happened here at Tel Akko. When did it start? The very beginning?
Well, of course, Tel Akko began in the 3rd millennium BCE, so it goes back 5,000 years. And the first excavations were in 1973 by Professor Moshe Dotan. He excavated on and off between 1973 and 1989, and unfortunately, he passed away before he was able to publish his results. And then his artifacts languished in a storeroom, which was a condemned building, and shelves collapsed and boxes deteriorated, and it was quite a mess when we rescued the material in 2012. And then we began the process of really organizing his material, because it was a complete state of chaos after more than 30 years of sitting in this storeroom. And we were able to begin linking up his material with our material, where we have a very well-documented stratigraphic sequence. So the publication of his material really began in, I guess, 2010, when we came back to Akko. And what's our story here is we're digging a Phoenician site, Iron Age, 1st millennium Phoenician site. One of the few Phoenician sites that that are accessible to excavation. Most of the Phoenician sites are under modern cities like Beirut or Sidon or Tyre. And Akko hasn't been, Tel Akko hasn't been occupied since the Hellenistic period. In the Hellenistic period, it moved westward towards the modern city today. So in that respect, we have a lot of access to the Phoenician remains, which many other sites don't have. So Akko is very special in that respect, that it gives us a golden opportunity to uncover a substantial area of the Phoenicians. And what's been really surprising about our excavation, something I didn't expect and something that wasn't really recognized in the Dotan excavations, is the ironsmithing area dating to the Persian period, say the 6th to the 4th centuries BCE, which is the largest ironsmithing area ever found, certainly in this region. There's very few ironsmithing excavated sites from the Persian period, so not only is it the largest, but it's unique that it's a Persian period smithing and zone, and it's really an industrial area, industrial level that's unprecedented anywhere.
I mean, I can imagine you would love to get that published because of the uniqueness of the material itself.
Yes, and we've been working with really outstanding archaeometallurgists to bring that to publication. First with Dr. Umit Guder, who was professor at Çanakkale University when he was working with us. And we have an article in press with him, and now we're working with Dr. Brady Liss, who is a former student of mine from Penn State, who just finished his PhD with Tom Levy at the University of San Diego.
So let me ask you this. You worked hard on the database. You were able to get a lot of information into the database that you wouldn't have had that opportunity in COVID. Now we're here, and we're with the artifacts. What's happening with what's here, the actual hard evidence, and then what's been loaded into the database?
Well, I think working through the material and combining the information, seeing, I mean, at the database it's entered piece by piece. And then when you come here, you can bring all the information from the database, say from a certain area of the excavation, certain locus of the excavation, whether it's the pottery, special finds such as figurines, link it up with the architecture and really spread it out and see all these artifacts in context. Now that's very difficult to do just with a database where you have small pieces of information. So one of the things we've been able to do while we've been here is really, I would say, link the information together, see it. There's always mistakes we all make in the field. Humans make mistakes all the time, and especially in the field. And we've been able to check things that just didn't seem to be quite right, make the corrections, and it's been really rewarding to be able to do that.
And you've talked about, over the years, people having to gather this material. It was in a room that was going to be condemned, and trying to gather it together, and one layer of organization and then another. So something special happened a week or two ago when you were able to line up a bunch of different, am I remembering something that happened? We were very pleased about it.
Oh, yes. One of our special finds during our excavations was a beautiful figurine of a female, pregnant female. And we called her the Lady of Akko. And she's wearing jewelry, and she's quite lovely, nude. And we excavated her she originated from a small unexcavated bulk that Moshe Dotan had not previously dug.
Oh, yeah.
And we were able then to locate the loci that would have been contemporary with this female figurine and pull them and spread them. So now we have a much larger context. Just instead of just a beautiful figurine and kind of isolation, we were able to link up with the layers that Moshe excavated. And it turns out that they indicated this area as a high place. So we've been looking into the special features of this high place. So it seems like this Lady of Akko might have been associated with occultic activity at the site.
That's a pretty exciting piece of information.
It is indeed.
So when we're here during this study season, what kind of information then are we gathering to find that context?
What's been really wonderful is we've been able to gather together all of our experts and specialists. We have our archaeobotanists, our archaeozoologists, our archaeometallurgists, our ceramicists, individuals who are working on stratigraphy, and we have time to discuss. We have time to look at materials together.
And so, as the study season draws to an end, it's time to reflect on a well-organized and rearranged storeroom, artifacts correctly labeled and identified, data checked and entered, and publications planned and resourced. It's been a time of reconnecting with old friends. Until next time.